Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not sure I overcame my technical difficulties, but I have staff that did that, and I appreciate the staff for doing that. Americans across the country are facing a once-in-a-generation economic headwind thanks to the disastrous policies implemented by President Biden. An economy that should be growing and recovering from government-mandated lockdowns is instead stagnating in uncertainty over record-setting inflation, labor shortages, and a crippled supply chain. We can have a philosophical debate over the concentration of power in our food supply, and I welcome a discussion of Amazon's acquisition of Whole Foods and its anti-competitive pricing and delivery practices that force small independent grocers out of business. Amazon has consistently distorted market outcomes to the detriment of small businesses and must be held accountable. But to suggest that changes to antitrust law will heal what ails our economy at this moment is disconnected from reality. President Biden implemented massive government spending that ushered in 7% inflation. President Biden has refused to bring labor unions to the negotiating table to solve the crisis at our ports. President Biden has paid Americans to stay home and out of the workforce. Americans are paying more for their groceries than they have in decades, if they can even find the products they're looking for. And the responsibility for that falls squarely on the shoulders of President Biden. The food supply industry has not changed overnight, nor could it. The only change we've seen in the past year is a shift from pro-growth policies under President Trump to the tax, spend, and regulate policies of President Biden. The result? Soaring prices and back orders for farmers buying needed equipment, labor shortages across the agricultural industry, and ultimately pain in the pocketbooks of many hardworking Americans. Unfortunately, this isn't the first time President Biden and his allies have attempted to shift the blame for skyrocketing prices. In November, President Biden claimed without evidence that oil companies were driving up prices at the pump. Instead of recognizing that begging OPEC for a production increase was terrible policy and unleashing the American energy industry, President Biden, with no basis, attacked the industry for alleged anti-competitive practices. This hearing may focus on a different sector of the economy, but it's following the same playbook. As I said, there are legitimate concerns about anti-competitive practices by actors in the food supply chain, like Amazon's grocery business, that could lead to productive discussions. However, if my colleagues across the aisle insist upon using limited concentration in America's food supply as a scapegoat for failed liberal policies, Congress will never make it to that conversation. Mr. Chair, I yield back.